I'd like to call the November 14th meeting of the Council on Aging to order. If able, please rise and join me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Dave. May I have a roll call, please?
I hope you know who you are. Because don't worry about it, Kat. Does anybody want an
Clockwise.
extra pencil, an extra pen and a pencil? Do you have them, Kit? Yeah. Ayers,
Present.
Vice Chair Craig, I should say Chair Ayers, okay? Sadler?
Here.
Geller? You. You're here. You talking to me? You got it. Geller. Phil Foyle, Moodig are both absent. Glenn Denning.
Yo.
Hill. Here. You have a quorum.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as presented? I so move. Second. Okay. Are there any revisions that we need to address to the agenda? No. Okay. If there aren't any objections, we're going to approve the agenda as presented. Okay. Excuse me, that was for the minutes. I'm sorry. May I have a motion to approve the December 12th minutes? Move. Okay. Thank you.
Second.
Okay. Business, none. New business. Okay. You have the capital improvement project priority list. Jackie, did you want to address anything before we talk about that?
Can I borrow this just a second time? So the capital project list is page 6, the memo is, and I did not add it back into our, add the colored copies of everything. We looked at those in September and talked about that. We talked about pushing ahead on the backyard projects. We keep pushing those back because of the bluff erosion project. And we're waiting to see how much of a backyard we have. Before that, we continue on that. The roof canopy, I did leave fiscal year 25 in the memo for you because the roof canopy project is still in the works for that. Lee and I have talked about that already. And we did not have anything moving forward into fiscal year 30, so I left that blank as well. So everything that you see now is what we had discussed in September.
Any questions, comments?
Okay, that's allocated. Then that just goes into the budget. We have to attempt to reallocate it in the future.
No, not for a CAP project. So for the capital improvement projects, and Vice Mayor Naxton can correct me. Though that money is put into capital project funds and it's there. So we have some older ones, and since it says call for a staff report,
Okay.
I guess I'm doing that now, but we have some other capital improvements that are still in the works. The front door project is one. The HVAC system for here is another. And those have already been approved and the money is set aside for those. They're just, they're not done yet.
And this is old business, but the generator project is complete.
For Vintage Point, the generator project is complete.
Very good. Because
There's some landscaping that needs to be done associated with that.
generator for here or interview someday maybe.
Someday maybe. So can I guess I could bring that up now because we're talking about capital projects. So before, Fire Chief Pryor left, he and I had a discussion about, some state funds, grant funds that the city had. They think they did the fire station, they did some things in the Parks and Recs with some grant funds that had come in. I don't remember if it was leftover COVID or if it was FEMA money, I don't remember. But he suggested if we ever went after a generator for the senior center, that we not do it as under the guise of an emergency shelter. He said, you have got probably $40,000 in food in there. And he said, you would have, he said he recommended going after it on the basis of us being able to feed people. So not necessarily house people, but before housing can happen, they have to be fed. And so he said, you may, because of the abundance of food in a natural disaster that you still have, that would be something to consider. So I think in time that would be a
Target for
good idea.
Okay, any other questions or comments on the improvement project?
Yeah, just the big open in the room. Bluff erosion is going to start. And sometimes it's appropriate when everybody gets their feet under them. Maybe if we could have an overview presented to us. And those are questions that have come up in the past year. I think we'd be delighted to know since it's right in our backyard. And we're sitting out in our backyard, so we're embracing it. So
I think that would fall to our new public works director.
someday.
Yeah. Since we had a promise from his predecessor to give us that rating.
I could do that in the future, yeah.
Okay.
I don't think it would be very helpful if our dating on house.
No, I don't think we would.
I don't.
The older versions are around that we can modify change. So.
So at this point, pending no further questions, which I don't see.
Not about the list of projects so much, but since, we're coming up on budget and that's what this has, these are nice round numbers. I don't know if they're old, nice round numbers. And we've had some inflation before and been on hold. So it's just kind of a question, of the first director here, make sure that they're even inflation proof. Obviously it's something you've inherited.
Yeah.
So.
And I don't know, I mean, you said you've been pushing these, so I don't know how long you've been pushing them or when the original numbers were developed, but obviously costs have gone fairly up quite a bit in the last 4 years, so that would be something worth revisiting if we want to put larger numbers down, a next year budget or something like that for capital plan. We could do that.
So I figure if we lose part of the backyard, the costs will stay the same or they'll go down. So, but a lot of it is, we'd have to go and get a landscaping bid and we are just talking about the senior center backyard. We're not talking Vintage Point, so it is quite a bit smaller. We don't have the trees anymore, which would have been, the city's taken care of that, which would have cost a lot to get rid of. And so, just the yard and and things. I can have a landscaper give us a better quote on that. I don't think, if maybe a year from now, we would update that, maybe update those quotes and look at it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Let's wrap this up, and if someone could give me a motion to recommend to the council the approval on the capital improvement project priority list.
Recommend the council.
Okay.
List that we just.
Thank you. Okay, very good. And Kathy, you've already given part of your report, so I'm going to call for a staff report anyway.
So the staff report, Ken, is on the recommendation. So what we do is we move it to bring it to the floor and then do the staff report talking about the capital improvement project. So we're going to do the same thing on, do we need to ask if there's any, if we're all unanimous on this recommendation, the council, on the priority list? Do we need to ask for everybody, ask for unanimous, or if there's any objections to that?
I believe we do. So let's take a real quick vote. The capital improvement project by show of hands, all those in favor? Approved. Okay, next order of new business. I'm going to go ahead and say that we table this since this is not written correctly. And you and I discussed this earlier. We're not going to recommend the council investigate the need for additional senior housing. That's the function of this board. Mention from the council to investigate the need for additional senior housing. And the way it's written right now, we're putting the onus on the city council. So I think we're putting the cart before the horse here. And we need to drop item number 2 under new business for now. Just table it. Any objections? And let me just go over real quick. The reason I spoke to Kathy about this morning, I think there's a little bit of misconception that we want to tell the city council to investigate the need for additional senior housing, and that's not what we're doing. You were here at one of the meetings, I believe, when we were talking about this. And what we're seeking from the city council is permission for this body to investigate the need for further senior housing. And so if we went with it as written right now, it's not appropriate.
Yeah,
So
I think I at the city council meeting where we were giving tacit approval to go this far. So maybe we just need to flesh out the understanding of what he's going to do. But I think it was finding. So senior housing and perhaps we need to rejigger that definition, but that's how we got this far.
yeah, I think that the original theory was additional senior housing to be built here. We never talked about the economics of the fact that we didn't want low income housing because we didn't want to be
Right.
stuck
Yeah.
with that tail end of paperwork and oversight from
Right.
federal government.
So we did.
So we're going to go ahead and table item number 2 for future discussion. And now to my favorite subject, we're going back to our work plan. So I'm going to go around the table and ask for an update.
Well, you know, you're just a show of hands.
Sure, you gotta vote on the tabling of that.
Oh.
Okay,
Motion to pass the table.
all right. Well, can I have a motion to table it first? Okay.
The table is correct.
What's wrong?
It is.
I moved to table item number 2 until the appropriate time was brought up.
Okay, second. Okay. All right, show of hands, all in favor? Okay, good. Now we're going to move on to the work plan, status updates. And so I'm gonna start out. As everybody knows, we had several people talk about the need for an improved website. Can someone grab that link switch back there? Henry, could you grab that? Oh, sure. Thank you. So let's get out of this. So where we are, this is the current City of Kenai website. And to get information as a senior, you've literally got to jump through 5 hoops to get any kind of information at all. And our goal was to make recommendations on how to fix this and streamline it. And as you can see, right now, the very first thing you're going to do, step 1, is select departments and services. When you do that, you get a drop-down menu. Then you got to go over and find senior services. Now we're at 2 steps. Then after that, it takes you here. And when you get here, there's a little bit of confusion about where to go. But you should be going to the left side where it says Senior Center, hit that. Now when you do that, you get another drop-down that says newsletters. You got to select newsletters. Now you're on step 5. And you got to make sure you select the right newsletter. So that's where we are now. And it's really hard for the seniors to get information quickly or easily. And something else that you'll notice is that a lot of the fonts up there are really hard to read for seniors. So we're also talking about making the font size bigger so seniors have an easier time of reading this material. So what I propose is adding a new quick access button on the front page. Doesn't have to be in this position here. It can actually be attached to the bottom like these, or it could be a different color. But the important thing I want to highlight is it's got to be big text, and it has to advertise the seniors right there. And a lot of folks don't know that you only have to be 55 plus now. So that needs to be on there too, so we can advertise it. So that's the first change we're proposing. The second change is going to be that once you click that button, the second step would take you right here to this web page. And what we're going to add is a new monthly newsletter button, if you want just the newsletter, or the lunch menu, which is the most popular thing, or an activities calendar, or comments or feedback. A lot of people said they wanted to leave comments and feedback on the senior center activities. So we want to make sure that's there. So basically we're adding 4 new buttons. And you probably looked at this webpage and said, well, why do we have duplicate tabs? We got 2 senior center buttons, 2 Vintage Point buttons. Guess what? They all go to the same place. There's no difference between those buttons. So what we need to do, again, look at the small text. That needs to be bigger. These choices and text size need to be bigger. And we need to get rid of the duplicates. Just take them out. That way we can slide those 4 buttons over and make it nice and easy for the seniors to get in there. So what does that do for us? Well, that takes us down from 5 clicks of trying to hunt and find information down to 2 for seniors. Much easier, much more streamlined. Increase the font size, makes it easier to read. And on the main page of our city website, we can advertise senior services for those members 55 plus. Believe it or not, a lot of folks in the city don't know about all the great senior services we have. So by making this change, we're also advertising the city services. Now, originally, this was supposed to be part of the updated city web pages, but they didn't do that. So now we're going to do this separately. And it's going to be spearheaded by Kayla and Kathy. And they're going to work with the IT department at the city to get this done. It's really simple, basic changes. If you know anything about website construction, we're talking adding 5 buttons and realigning where all the information goes right now. That's it. So it's not anything terribly difficult or expensive, but it's all really basic changes that we need to make it easier for seniors. So I was the POC for this one. Does anyone have any questions on it?
No question, just observation, approval. I mean, just you said, let's go back to the city main page, go down, you have all the little buttons you can push like library. Okay, well, say whose services are equal to the city, but ours, at least approach that of the library as far as public use. And if you could just have a button like that, one button, and you're on a senior services focused page, and then make it just as easy as you can for clicking buttons and clear explanation.
Exactly.
Type.
Exactly.
Just maybe just summarize what you just said. But I think that's wonderful.
Good.
So to be clear, you are proposing a whole different website though, right?
No, it's just modification of the existing.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought, and I thought that you said, well, we get separate.
No, this does not require a separate website. It's just realigning the information access by adding buttons and making sure that the data sources behind that button are reconnected, linked to the new buttons. For instance, all the menus, all the newsletters will be linked to those new buttons that appear on that page. That way they don't have to dig down through all that information and get lost trying to find it.
I'm always interested in newsletter and data.
Yeah. Well, this way, I mean, it's almost, I won't say it, but it's almost foolproof. I guess I will say it because, the current method is really difficult for seniors and they don't know where to go or what to do. And then those extra buttons are very confusing. But when we jump to something like this, where it's 2 steps, you click on one button and then you get to pick and choose from 4 more buttons. That's pretty simple. And it's really hard to get lost for that. It makes the information more accessible and brings in more people to the senior center because now you're advertising on the front page of the city website.
If the documents and forms and frequently asked questions.
That would be up to Kathy.
No, and if I can add a couple of things, Ken, on that. So, we haven't gone to 55, it's still at 60. So, and the reason being is because our main grant, both 2 of our main grants, which is the borough and the state NTS grant, is for 60 and older. So Nikiski, Sterling go for 55 and older. Nenilchik, Soldatna, and Kenai have to be at 60. Well, Soldatna.
Because of the grants.
Because of the grants.
Yeah, because we
And-
talked about this.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were going for 55 and now we're back to 60.
We have to be at 60.
Okay.
And the city that's part of something that the city has set for us is 60. So, and part of that is if we want to definitely clear that before we put it on there, because we get asked all the time, can we, is it 55 or is it, 60? So, I see this as great changes. Ken's already talked with Kayla. Red and Kayla are going to be going through training with the deputy clerk and talking with our city clerk. We can, with further training, they can even change the font size for our page when it gets there, so they can be bigger. She would have to approve putting buttons on the main page or when it, how that goes. But we would also have Vintage Point. We'd have information for Vintage Point, rental information, what the house rules are, all of that information. Pictures, look of what a diagram of what the apartments look like or how much square footage. The frequently asked questions could pertain to senior center rentals, as well as documents and forms right on it. So we get people going. Well, 2 steps. They're at the newsletter, and they're at the website that has all of that. That we end up taking phone calls, or we send in the mail, or now people can just go to it and push this right off. So we'll be working at that first of the year to get that done.
And I'll update this for age 60 since that's because of the grant, so we'll do that. I'll take care of that. That way you can use this if you need to present it again.
Yes,
Okay.
sounds good. I think it's great, Ken. I think there's, it really, I think, it's nice to say the city of Kenai has furnished, and there's things, and we put in our budget is full of documents and narratives about what things do, but we need to put the eye. People are not gonna read that paragraph. They're gonna go and they're gonna say, I wanna look at the menu. I wanna know if I can rent the building, when it's available, and add a comment or something.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. No, I think you guys are doing great, and whatever we can do to streamline that information, that's what we need to do. Any questions on this? More comments? Okay. We did bring a friend to lunch, and that was a great lunch. You want to expand on that, Kathy?
yes, it was a good lunch. We had new contacts that were made. We had people who hadn't visited the center before. If they hadn't been here in a number of years. And it was a wonderful, Missy provided a wonderful lunch that day. I think it is something we will probably put in every 6 months. And if you haven't been to the center in 6 months, or if you have a friend who hasn't been to the center, one of the things that we ended up not thinking that we had to stress was the fact that their friend has to be 60 or older. So they wanted to bring, a lot of people wanted to bring a family member or their neighbor, bring a neighbor. And so when we advertise it next time, we will put that in there that your friend must be senior age. You'd think that would be, to us, that makes sense. To the person who's, and even if they paid $16 for a meal, $16, what you get here for $16. Very few places in town you can eat for that.
That's for sure. Yeah, you guys do a fantastic job. Okay, let's go on to the next work group, and that.
Can I just make a remark about
Yep.
my friend? I think that we may have talked about having, at that event, having activities that we do, so people get an idea of the kind of. So I'm just kind of suggesting what I think about it.
What do you think about that?
I think it would be a good idea. I mean, you could have something very simple. But
So what you're saying is we have standing activities
right,
projected for a certain day of the month, whatnot, and then it's there's some layered in, special event or whatever, it's not fundraising in the spring, that can be displayed.
so we kind of advertise the kind of opportunities that we have. Volunteer.
Did, I believe that day, if I can add, we did something we have not done since COVID, because it was new to KMET and it was new to Red. And we did a ice cream social. And, we did it on the day of Bring a Friend to Lunch, and they loved it. It was, people came up and we as staff served it. And we used to have 2 seniors, Patsy and Glenn Clifford, who were soda jerks. And they had the hats and everything, and they got it all. And it was a good reminder, and Kayla and Red were like, we've never done this before. And I said, well, it's been since COVID since we've done it, but we will bring it back more often.
Well, just back in time, just one notch, we're talking about bringing someone to a dinner, they gotta be 60 or over. Or if they're a grandparent, they're looking after a kid, can the kid come along? The difference of a grant funding from you is going to be the value of the meal.
They could do that, but our grant allows for a couple of things. It allows for a senior who is taking care or has a disabled adult of any age living with them. That disabled adult is considered a senior under our grant because they're living with a senior parent. When it comes to children, it would be, it doesn't say disabled child, but we do have lower rates for children.
You just take care of like babysitting for a day while the grant works.
We have seniors bring their grandkids all the time. So it isn't.
So my greater question is nothing precluding someone under age 60 coming in here to eat a lunch.
No.
Figured that, I just wanted to blurt that out.
If they're over the age of, I think it's 12, that it's $16 and it's a charge and not a donation. But it does happen frequently.
Okay, the next work group were our housing POCs. Jim and Rich.
We were talking about what we can.
We were talking about it.
Yeah.
Just give us a synopsis where we are and we know what you've been doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. You have the notes or?
I don't have the notes here, but I can make a comment of what I'm personally investigating. A while back, I was told that it's cheaper to go outside and live if you're a senior, whether you're in senior housing, assisted living, or long-term care. And that I was told I should sell my house and move outside. Make my money go farther. Well, after investigating a number of states and prices, it was real interesting. That I'm not so sure that it's that much cheaper to do that if you figure having to sell your home and downsize, pack and move and pay that cost. And then you move into the place, and depending on it, they have apartment seniors, but a lot of the ones that I checked in were senior living where you either bought into the senior living and you stayed on the same campus and paid an initial fee and then your monthly fee, or you paid a fee and you included room and board and activities were included in that monthly fee. And you might be able to break even. But if your loved one needed to go into assisted living or memory care and you were going to stay in independent care, whether they went into assisted living or memory care, they were telling you that the person that did not have the ability or the illness should move in with that person instead of staying in independent housing. And I found that really interesting. So I think when we get to the point of moving, continuing what we've already got, be more assisted living close to our campus or within our campus or whatever, but not a buy-in or not a
Yeah, that's
upfront fee.
That's amazing. The villages, I think, are up to $525,000 for the buy-in down in Florida. That's what the going rate is, I believe. So it's not fair to seniors to do that.
I found one place where it sounded very similar to here for independent living for seniors, and they said, well, if you move in, that's good, but if you want to. Which I found very interesting too, and that was I looked at California and Washington and Nebraska, Iowa, and Oklahoma. And sent my daughter to Oklahoma to visit a place that I thought really looked nice on paper. And I don't know what she was expecting, but she went to independent housing. It was a continuum of care, and they weren't asking for a buy-in. But she said they had apartments for independent seniors, and they also had cottages for seniors. And she said, I didn't like the apartments, but I liked the cottages for seniors. But she said, we're walking around and I'm in the assisted living and somebody fell on the floor. And she said, the way the lady went over, an attendant went over to pick the person up. She said, I told them to stop. I interfered and told them to stop, that you were picking the person up wrong, and went over and helped the person up. And the woman that she was showing around was shocked that she knew how to do that. And she said, you need to train your staff. So, that happens everywhere, but she came away and I think it was a shock for a child to say, oh, my parents are getting older. Older, not old.
Yeah, a lot of organizations are switching to the model of a continuum of care where they start out with somebody in the independent way, and then they move them to the assisted, and then finally into memory care or full-time.
And there's an advantage that if you're in the independent care, you get 3 meals a day, you get activities, you get all these things, and that's because you move in and everything's done for you. That's the price wise, I think they're the same. There's no.
Yeah.
It's your choice, and that was instructed in our investigation. We can see that, maybe or something. So you're looking at each individual rooms and, monitor and all that. But I think the city discovered long ago that that was not the way to go. And so here would just be a continuum of the program that we have here.
Exactly.
Okay, with the independent management
Right.
and all of that.
Right.
But what we thought about is making sure that we put sideboards on that discussion. But we also talked about that since there is such a demand, our waiting list is great. And we talked about what the city can do to help senior living. And the city does have properties, and in the past we've given to nonprofits for either low cost housing or senior housing, and maybe our approach should be if we can identify certain areas that might fulfill that need. I think of course the councils go with that, but it's an idea that we can come up with. Someone wants to put in a program that involves federal grants and all of this. We can maybe as a city help promote that, but allow them to manage that. The individual looking for a place to live, the city provided facility or that's a distinction of the difference. How they just need a place to go fulfill their. So I think we're on the cusp of something good. And I'll get some discussion we need to have going forward. Generations, first generation staying. They would get people there, they back up and go back to where they came from. Here.
Yeah.
But I think we have the best of both worlds. We have the senior center, but we also have independent housing.
Sure.
And after, I'm just looking, thinking, we just end that way, we still have our senior center where if they choose to participate, they can, and if they don't, they don't.
And just two independent.
Yep.
Okay.
No, I think you guys are exactly right, and I think we are on track with what we're currently doing and what we would like to see happen. So, it's just a shame though, things are so expensive. You know, I think down in Washington State, assisted care is running anywhere from 12 to 16,000 a month if you don't have a buy-in program. And that's just almost criminal. So that's the way it is.
I think one of the problems with the independent care, the same thing is true in Indiana, my sister looked into it, that you want to live independently, but you live there, you pay for a lot of things you don't. Or if you had a facility like here, it truly.
And this way that there's a stand or whatever, you bridge out.
Oh, yeah.
Go somewhere else.
Definitely.
They won't engage in place to take care of it.
Well, and then I think people, as far as assisted living are concerned, talking to an assisted living and they $500 a month, but that's the initial cost.
Right.
After 30 days to 90 days, they're gonna reevaluate your. That's true in the area.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, so this is our work in progress. We're gonna ask permission from council for our sideboards on it and go on from there. Is that what we're looking at? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And
Yeah.
then we have a timeline.
Yes, so we're going to present where we are on all these sub-working groups to the city council. And in January, and we're going to cover one more working group, and then we're going to take a vote on who's going to present it. I volunteered to present it, but in case someone else wants to do it, they're more than welcome. And that'll be my last hurrah because I'm going to be off council next year. We're going to go ahead and do that, and then we're going to lean on our council representative to see if he can get a motion by the city council to allow us to investigate additional senior housing. And just leave it at that. Not for funding, for a feasibility study, not for anything else. Just a motion to allow us to investigate additional senior housing. And then whoever takes my place next year can untable item number 2 and we can take it from there. Does that sound like a good plan to everyone?
Sounds like a good.
Well, we have a council meeting next week. Not like, but not really. I mean, we could have an informational item, bring that up, so it's at least advertised and noticed, and just discuss it. This is what you guys want to do.
We don't want to commit to anything. We don't want to contract for anything. We just want the official council blessing on investigating additional senior housing.
That could be stopped as a discussion.
That would be a discussion item, and I think since there's no money involved, it would just be a yes, no, but it would be good to have somebody there. And make sure, what you're thinking. What do you think? Much? Too soon?
No, I'm not.
Okay. I'm kind of a bull in a china shop. I just go ahead and sometimes it's ahead of things, and maybe I'm getting ahead of them.
No,
No, you're on track.
So just to go along with what Vice Mayor Maxted has said, is that if that brings up in it, remember, none of you can go and speak for the commission without being appointed by the whole commission. So that not just including giving our work plan report, which is going to be in January. But if you want somebody at the meeting to speak to this, is what you're saying, that has to be the motion for that to even go to council to talk, unless you all show up. I mean, that could happen.
Just a question is, okay, we can select somebody, but is it not a standing rule or understanding we have that the chairman always can go speak for us?
No, it has to be, I'm talking with the clerk. It has to be,
Meeting by meeting.
Yes, it has to be, if you have a representative from Council on Aging, whether it be the chair, the vice chair, or anybody, go to council. The majority has to be a majority vote from the commission to say, yes, please go speak on our behalf.
Proper time to make that motion.
I would think anytime.
Right after this
now.
discussion.
Yeah.
Right after. We got one more item. One more item and we'll hit that, I promise. And our last work group was on research assistance for the director. And that was Kid Hill and Bill Sadler.
Okay, I guess we kind of focused in exploring the availability of school and college. And we have drafted a letter. And I don't know whether we have to have approval to send this out from the whole commission. But a letter to local schools and to the local colleges. To ask them to identify programs that they presently institutions have as far as these types of, and part of that questionnaire would include, the kinds of what the future programs are and so forth and contact. And in addition to just identify, let's say our goal is for this year, by other opportunities in the community that exist that are not necessarily associated with schools or colleges. Right?
I would think,
You can add whatever.
the council would want to put their stamp of approval on that letter before it went.
Okay, well,
Catherine?
I think that, so remember, you're an advisory council. So I don't know that you can send a letter out, like he's saying, do that. That may be something I can do through my office
okay.
without it going to council, without it going that we can talk about one of our goals this year. One of the
Okay.
goals this year through our Council on Aging has been to identify, and I will clarify that, whether that can be done.
Well, I mean, that might be more appropriate to come
Yep.
from the senior center.
Yeah.
I think so.
So,
Yeah, I think other departments have done it.
okay,
You reach out to the high school, you reach out to.
so we will work with you or whatever senior center representative you need to get that during the questionnaire. Okay.
Goals.
Okay, we're at that point, I promise.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, well, I make a motion. That we approve our to speak on behalf of on the some aging commission to be available at the next city council meeting.
That'll be next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday, and it starts at
6
6.
o'clock. I did for years, Jim.
Well, it used to be 7. Yeah,
Yeah,
I live in the past life.
I'm planning and zoning still does 7 o'clock.
Did you want a presentation or just answer questions?
Well, it's not for me to direct the director
No,
here,
we'll
but
get a flavor.
I can do is put it on the agenda. But perhaps Kathy can put together a memo that'll be a lay down. Kind of generally what, is that something you can do, But the council's got it, and you got a head start of what's coming, and then if you wanted to come and present what you want to do, and then council would just down it.
Yeah, we're gonna be a discussion.
Be a discussion item.
Okay.
There's no dollar amount. I mean, I think it's important that we're not talking about dollars. We're not talking about city resources next necessarily. Perhaps a little bit of Kathy's time is if you have it available, whatever.
Well, it'd be
But that's-
using
that's-
existing city resources, the people that already work for the city that would be making the changes. Let's say.
Well,
This is to clarify, we're only talking about the senior housing discussion. We're only talking about bringing that forward to give Council on Aging permission to go down that road. Because, the clerk would like, when it comes to you giving a staff report on the final work plan, which would be all 4 items.
Right.
So speaking next week, you won't be talking about all 4 items. It would strictly be the 1 item on senior housing.
Okay, we need to clarify that then.
Yes.
Like the need for senior
That's what I
housing.
said.
The action item's going to look exactly like what your discussion items here recommending council. Well, it says council, it's going to say the council on aging investigate the need for additional senior housing. You know, I mean, that's.
Yes.
It's just a
But that's
discussion.
just one part of the work plan, because when I'm looking at the minutes for today's meeting and what we voted on, it was on all the items on the work plan, which were the other 3 areas as well. So it wasn't just that 1 item. It was several different items.
Right, and that work plan visit to the council needs to happen in January.
Okay,
So that's what
So-
they're asking.
okay. 2 different issues.
Yes.
Okay.
It gets too complicated if you have too many things all in one.
Yeah,
It really does.
No, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so Jim made a motion to approve, on behalf, to approve Chair Ayers to go speak if called on by council regarding the discussion item for the need for senior housing, or giving the commission permission to pursue senior housing, look at the need for that for this week. That was the motion. Is there a second?
Okay, show of hands, all those in favor. Okay, that passes.
May not be a bad time to go to council. Let's go. So it says,
It used to be at 7. Back when we had black and white TV.
Yes.
so this would be the second motion, which would appoint one of you to prepare a final report of all of the work things to prepare to give to council in January. So we need a second motion,
Okay,
and who that would be.
anyone want to take that responsibility on in January?
Are you ready for January?
Don't know.
Please.
Don't know, I can't commit. Be best if it wasn't me, I think. Because I will be off. Anybody want to volunteer?
You can probably stand it over there.
Well, no, yeah, okay. We'll get together and scheme and come up with our presentation.
Okay, so you're gonna take it on?
So we need a motion for him to do, if he's volunteered to do that, someone needs to make a motion for him to do.
I so move.
And then I
And
Do
show of
3 things.
hands in favor?
will do those 3 things.
Okay. Thank you, Jim.
Reform.
We already talked a lot, Kathy, but I want to let you finish up on anything that you want to give to us.
If you notice in the minutes, I put the borough report that we give to the borough on a quarterly basis. And I put the 2, I believe it was August and September meeting. The reason we don't have October yet is because council has not seen that yet. So until council sees it, I can't give it to you, so it'll go in the December meeting as well. And it shows, you can tell that our snowbirds left and things are going. We have some exciting things happening coming up. We I want to talk about Hillcore, which is next Friday. It'll be a week from tomorrow. The Hillcore Thanksgiving luncheon, we already have about 170 signed up. This year is different than any other year that they have done this. And this year they have a commercial, actually they're shooting a commercial. So they have a person who will be videography, they'll be videoing just one camera. They will be interviewing 6 to 10 people at 2 tables that I have yet to determine. So I'm gonna pick a lot of people in this room to be on those tables. And then they will be, everybody who is in the dining room on that day will need to sign a talent release, which is basically a photo release. They're planning to use this on KTUU, on Hillcore's making a commercial about the holidays. And it also showing their employees kind of twofold. Of course, it's a commercial for them to show, what they're doing in Alaska, which over the next few years will probably be substantial, but more than what they're doing now even. But it also shows their employees, because they have such a generous employee giving program. We've had, they'll match employee giving, or they'll say each employee now has 25,000 that you can dedicate to, and we've been the recipient for a few of those. And so they put this on their employee channel. This will be on YouTube, but everybody in that dining room has to sign a talent release form. So I have a plan. It's 2 months of heartburn thinking about this. And the plan is that if they do not wish to be photographed, they still get a meal. They still get the freebies, Hillcore sends, but they'll be in the overflow room. And we'll have them seated in there. So it'll be a busy morning, but that's next Friday, a week from tomorrow. And I will be out the last week of November, and Red will be out the first week of December. So Red and I are also working on a transit grant through the DOT, which is, I thought Medicaid waiver was a tough one. This one is, we have learned a lot. We asked for an invitation to apply for this. They gave us the invitation. I thought, great, I'm going to apply to replace 4 vehicles, right? But we do have a vehicle replacement fund, but if we don't have to use that and it comes out of our budget and we can use a grant to do it, why not do this, right? So then I found out all the other nonprofits on the peninsula and all the other agencies are asking for, they looked at us like, you're asking for what? Maybe they're asking for 1 vehicle. So we are part of the transportation committee that the borough spearheads, the transportation committee. Rachel was on it as well for years with me, and then now they get to decide. This transportation committee in a borough meeting, not a borough assembly meeting, gets to decide and prioritize these requests that were made. And there were 5 requests: independent living, Homer, Central, Seward are counted 3. That's 3 different requests. Carts wants to buy a new wheelchair van for Alaska Cab to use through Carts. And we asked for a 15-passenger van. So because we didn't ask for a handicap van, which is probably lowered we're number 5, but we are the newbie on the block when it comes to this brain. So I went and spoke to this and just had to laugh a little bit because it was, we didn't realize that everybody in the room was voting for this that night on priorities. And so independent living and us, we had just Red and I, myself and the director for independent living and a few other members of the transportation and the other. So it was very much of an eye opening on how we're going to do this next time. But while we do need a wheelchair van, we need a larger van more. And we will work to get a wheelchair van eventually, but right now we need a 12 to 15 passenger van. So we're hoping to do that. The application has to be in on the 13th of December. So we're steadily working and buried in that right now. But it's interesting. You know, we may not have a chance at it, but next year we won't be the newbies on the block, and then we can go wheelchair van at that point. So we have set up in December couple of things. We are going to have some new exercise programs, which exercise is our biggest, outside of meals, is the biggest thing that we do generally. If you ever been here Monday, Wednesday, Friday mornings, at 9 o'clock, they have an overflow class at 9 and then at 10. And sometimes there's 35 to 40 people at the end of that dance floor. It's why when Rachel was still here, we decided to expand that dance floor to a third of the back room. Well, we could have gone to 50% of the room if we're growing that big. So we're working with Parks and Rec at the rec center to have senior walking times. We've got a new physiotherapist who is, she's so excited and young and energetic and has her master's and is going to be teaching jazzercise, and some new classes coming to us so that seniors don't have to pay the $250 to go to the rec center and stuff. And so that's pretty exciting. And we've set the Christmas party. You'll see that coming up. We've set all of our Christmas activities, and things are going along well. We're fully staffed, which is the first time in many, many months. And things are working out really well there. We just pray our vehicles will last through. Our shop guys keep them going. Matter of fact, on this grant, they say the average use, you know, they give you a vehicle and they say the average use is about 4 years. And I just laugh because some of our, the red vans we have are 2008. We have our Meals on Wheels vans are 2011. And, you know, and we get a lot of use out of our vans, but that's city maintenance for you. That's because we have a maintenance department that really takes care of it. So looking at, we have to go after a 20% match. And so I have been talking with Terry and Dave about what that looks like, and kind of exciting. I hope you get it. So that is all my report, but I would be happy to answer any questions.
Oh, excuse me, with this transportation grant, whatever happened to Kenites trying to do, is that still part of that?
26 seconds.
I did this today already. Okay, so that is a good question. We don't know, and we have not heard anything. I see the buses running, but we don't. I don't know.
Are they running from place to place, or are they still doing door to door?
I don't know. They have the Kendall building. I understand that the grant has taken some twists and some turns, but that grant was for a fixed route. And it was fixed route for McKiskey to Sterling, and then they developed a second one on K Beach. And we have heard nothing. We've heard and had no contact from them whatsoever. And even the transportation committee has not either. So interesting. Jim, did you have a question?
No, I was just saying we're going to reboot here. Time's told, so it's doing its thing.
Well, it may shut off on it.
Okay, there's a little warning tick down there.
It did the configuration. We already restarted it and everything with Tabby from IT here 2 hours ago.
I will worry my pretty later about that.
Righty, and for my report, basically coordinating with Kathy on all the issues we discussed today through the week, and informing her that I will be coming off council for the coming year, and you folks will need to select a new chair at the beginning of the year. That's my report in a nutshell. Council member Nexted, do you have anything for us?
I do. Well, I wanted to ask first, there's some interest in the bluff erosion project. guys wanting to talk about that for a few minutes?
Sure.
Yeah, it would be, I can talk about it, but do you have internet access to the website?
Sure.
But while you're pulling that up, why I want you to go there is in Public Works, there's a diagram of where the project is and its cross section of it. And we can talk about it a little bit, but while you're pulling that up, I just have a couple other things and then I'll go over the couple of reports, which I like to go over the least. I like to talk about other things that are going on in Kenai. You may have heard that the city of Kenai did a leakage study, and that has to do with airlines and traffic and people like me that drive to Anchorage because of the airline costs, for going outside and whatnot. And so there was a grant that was requested, and it was kind of like Kathy was describing your grant. It was the first time we've done that, and we weren't approved for it. But we'll have another opportunity here this next year to do that. And a smaller carrier, somebody the jet that flies about 70 people, 170 people, something like 170, I guess, come in the summertime, once, twice a week. That kind of it would be a summertime thing. So that's not dead, no matter what you may have read in the paper. It's just part of the process. So continue on with that. Philcorp is mentioned today. They are going to be drilling 3 new wells in the Kenai area near the mouth of the river here. One at the base of the hill, Walker Hill, that used to be called anyway, and then also across the river. So these are production wells. They hope to tap into something that they can be. So start about January 1st. So they're planning through some activity lights and all of that. We're going to report we have a new plant Public Works Director. And here he is. And I'm very pleased to have you on staff. I think Terry did well. Also have a new planner. I do not have the planner's name. Kevin Bootner. Very competent person. So we've got 2 new key people with the city. This next council meeting we'll be accepting funds, I'm sure, from Philcorp, by the way, to pay for the party next week, the Thanksgiving. So that's the 13th time. Go ahead.
Can I say something about that?
Absolutely.
So they upped it a couple years ago to 3,500 after one of them. They used to be pretty tight at 25. And looking back in the records, Marathon used to put in more, and so it dwindled back to 2,500. Couple years last year it was 3,500, and so then one of the new program gals said, "You know what? You should ask for what you need." I asked for 5,000, and I got it. And the turkeys alone are almost 1,500. So it was a just unbaked everything on it, but very generous that they're doing. We did just receive word 2 days ago of another grant that we got. It's only $1,000, but it's through the Alaska Food Coalition to help build some shelves. And it's the first time applying for that. We're pretty excited about that. So we'll see that. We'll see that in December. I'm done now.
Thanks for asking. Like I always like to say, if you don't ask, you don't get it. So you did. So
Yeah.
That's cool. We'll get to that kind of. I'll just go over a couple more things and then we'll do. But and I don't know where the last liaison might have left off, but we got 2 new ambulances online here. The city of Kenai, we had a dedication of them. They arrived. They weren't completely equipped. They are now. They have been for some time, but they had them parked outside. They had quite a little presentation and talk and all of that. And it goes back to the old buggy carriage thing, but kind of, the horses where they used to push the apparatus into the building. And so we all pushed these 2. Well, we pushed the ambulances into the bays, and I think they were set up within the next week or so. If you look, you'll see them around. They're brand new, and they are state of the art. They have a better suspension, all the bells and whistles. They're really cool. We've got 2 of them.
Well, that's awesome. That's great. We've been working on that for a while.
Yep, so that's a good deal. I thought that was specifically not that was part of your meeting, but you're talking about capital projects, but what always comes up sometimes is a covered parking out here. You know, probably a low roof. We got a civil engineer here, just some kind of a low truss roof that maybe slopes away just to keep the snow and the frost off for a number of them. Of course, that money has to come from somewhere, but I understand that Rick Cook had done some either design work or had something done where there's some plans or some ideas or something, and I've never seen it. I'm not sure.
They have it shown to you anytime.
Show it to, leader, but anyway, that's no longer really an interest, would be a close or something like that. I just see a low. Something I'd like to see someday. Let's see, to the website. You can go to City of Kenai Departments Services and right hand side, Public Works. Down. More up. There you go, Public Works. That's not good. No. I just did it. Well, while you guys were talking.
Try refresh.
Yeah.
Trying to log into, yeah, public.
Well, we are just on the Kenai.
Well, it looked like we were getting there.
Yeah, not gonna work. So it'll talk to the projector or it'll talk to the internet, but not both.
We were almost there, but you go to Public Works, you're gonna see there's one over there.
I don't know what that'll do to the Zoom meeting, but. Can you share the screen? Well, see, he knows how to do this.
Thank you, Brian.
So did your whole internet just go down?
Yeah, so I'm gonna connect to another network here.
We'll go ahead and
Kenai
continue. While
Well,
we
you're
do that.
connected to Kenai staff, it should.
Shouldn't make a difference, I would assume. Having internet issues, might just be having internet issues. Because nothing's working.
Very strange.
Something's just wrong with the internet.
Your what?
I think the internet's just struggling.
Okay. It find out.
Yeah, well, anyway, if you went to the web, go to the city website, we can help you get it. There's a location map, that was where it goes along the bluff. There's a tab once you get into Public Works, it just said bluff project. And it will have a cross section of what the wall is supposed to look. It does vary a little bit because the bluff and the bank. So, it's going to have a access road built on the top, so it's going to be 10 feet wide. Cities actually have to pay for that because it's for maintenance, but it'll also most likely be a pedestrian route too. So we have to be able to get to it, perhaps from one end. So there's got to be some kind of access built to. The manager was kind of fretting about how we're going to do that for sure, but. Rock is being made right now out at Sand Point, out of the Shumakin Islands. Yeah, I know, but, you know, these guys, they're shippers, they're, you know, it's rock that they know. And they had to retest it, but they knew it was an approved site that they've been working on. These guys work in all parts of Alaska and the Northwest. And they're shippers, so probably a lot of the work is just unloading it, well, loading it and loading it. And then there's the in between part with the shipping, which I'm gonna guess is probably not as big a deal once you got it all loaded up. Right, it's part of it, but they've got it sorted out now. Matter of fact, bill went from like 42 million, we thought, to maybe more like 22 million. So it's half.
Yeah.
Which, what project?
There's our senior housing.
There it is. Yeah, if we could, but I mean, it's, so, you know, we got the fund, so it's being, the rock's being made, and I expect that we're gonna start work on it early this spring. That might be in March, but it depends on the conditions here. Unless you've got something new.
No, it's about that, the rocks all data standpoint, and yeah, it's cheaper for them to barge it than it is to get that Seward or something and truck it all the way across, so that's why everything's being barged in. Barge it up the river and unload it off the beach there, so, yeah, it's gonna be a big, interesting, expensive project, and like Henry said, they're putting the road on the top, so, I'm just kind of getting up to speed on it, but should be interesting.
Very good. And you're remiss about mentioning that in your packet, you have 2 council meetings in there, and I can go over all or not, but I think the important thing is on 16th, to kind of quickly wrap up. We do have 2 council members, but we had 2 elections, 2 elected council members still already re-elected. We have a new council member to us from Parks and Rec, borough business manager, he said, or does, business management, very thoughtful, you know, shall I go over the whole meetings, or do you have any questions? It's basically, but you know, you've got the questions on anything, John?
Just, I don't know, notorious in the town that we should know about, and minutia.
Yeah, but this is already, we appropriated, some funds, quite a bit actually. To Lilac Lane, it was completed out north. There were some large burial holes that were not found when they were doing the soil investigation, which is common. And they had, once they got into that, it just kind of got bigger. So it was a lot of extra work to make it right. So it was done, and we had to approve it. Just how that works sometimes, especially in these projects. And nothing really here that involves shattering, that involves you guys or anything like that. Just some leases at the airport, moving schedules, and some things like that.
Just a subset of the council, but there was a land use proposition for a marijuana store, and
Yes.
and that's been decided by now, right?
It has, and there was a conditional use permit and a variance that was requested by property owner, and it was the Swanson Square building. It's along the highway over here for a marijuana store, and this had actually been denied back in 2016. Was somebody else that was looking to do it, but they planning and zoning did not approve it. It was then challenged basically, and a board of adjustment was formed, and that was heard, and that was the findings for that should be out today, but I really can't tell you or did until I know that it's out. Because
I thought, yeah, the time.
but the process, the timeline was today was when that had to come out, and actually signed my portion yesterday, the day before, and there's other board members that had to at that point, so that should be public probably now.
So we can ask Holdark and answer.
There you go.
Okay, great. Last call for any other public comments, since we have one member of the public among us. Okay. All right, our next meeting is going to be December 12th. Is anyone planning to be absent? Around the room real quick. Hilda, do you have anything for us? Really? Okay,
And Bill said I was not getting my mail. And the mailbox here. I didn't go over here.
before you did that.
Yeah, I get
So was she getting the minutes? Latest one just came in. The mailbox that just came. No, the last one I gave you.
that wasn't,
Okay.
that was a month ago.
Oh, I thought it was a big envelope.
It was a big envelope, but I was working in it. It was
Okay.
2 or 3 months
I'm
ago.
glad we worked it out though. Yeah.
So make sure we get
Okay. Bill, you got anything for us? Okay. Rachel? Okay. Jim?
No, just a general comment that it's associated with this group. And it's my personal opinion, this is not the best, one of the best run departments in the city. Just all our activities are well described. And, our company is known, well founded and secure. And we have a forward looking project here. And more importantly, we have the council liaison speak to us, and answer any questions, and more importantly, be willing to describe anything on the agenda and give us background as to how it impacts not only our building, but maybe just something in town, like some of us still drive around and how the roads are, or the public transportation aspect of revealed, or if they a building's being sold and acquired by somebody else, maybe what the usage of it is for, just things that help us to know on background, so we don't have to wear our tinfoil hats and speculate on this. Pretty good.
Yeah, well, I prefer to talk about it. If you prefer to hear about it.
I think we do.
Very good, Kid.
And you know,
Okay. Well, no further business before this body. I declare we are adjourned. Thank you very much.
Just go to the website. You kind of zoom in on the pictures. You can't really. It's always been. Yeah, it really is, yeah. Pretty well.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, there were 200 places over 60 years of age. There were this many.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I heard your name.
All right. Well,
Yeah. It was a
got a great question.
Okay.
Individuals over the age of 60. Six hundred and 83 meals to 246.
Yeah, I'm very weird rumor that it's blocked by a haze in the bench.
5,423
So what is the
meals delivered
resolution?
to 80 in this 3 months to 87 individuals.
He knows this.
over the age of 60.
Okay.
Now, what that means is on the employees. So, I mean, we didn't count the individual.
Yeah.
No, we don't deliver meals just to one person. But like you would say you ate 40 meals for that. 246.
Oh, so
I'm gonna be in touch with you.
Yeah, all the agreements that we have with him are.
Okay, I get that. That's good. I thought that.
No,
Asked.
but
I'm glad you asked.
he should have.